Welcome to Brain Explained. This video will review 10 crazy facts you didn't know about mental health stigma. Mental health problems are common, and they affect millions of people all over the world. This is why it is shocking that there is still a strong stigma surrounding mental health issues. In some cases, it can be very blatant, like when people use insulting phrases like nutter or psycho, which can be extremely hurtful. In other cases, it is more subtle, like being left out of discussions by colleagues or being talked about behind backs. This stigma has done nothing but make the problems worse, and sadly, it comes from everywhere. Employers, the media, and even friends and family, to the extent that people even experience internalized stigma, where they come to believe the negative stereotypes about their conditions. Good news is the majority of those stereotypes that have resulted in stigmas are not true. In this video, you'll see not 4, not 5, but 10 crazy facts you didn't know about mental health stigmas. The first is, mental health conditions have nothing to do with being weak or lazy. Oftentimes, people living with depression are labeled as lazy, while some judge those with anxiety as cowardly. This is because people believe mental health issues are a result of personality weakness or character flaws, and that people suffering from the disorders can snap out of it if they try hard enough. Well, this is not only false, but also unfair. The feelings of mentally ill patients are as valid as the body pains of physically ill people. And like those with body pains, mentally ill patients need all the help and support they can get in order to get better. Also, contrary to what you think, people who seek counseling from psychiatrists are not crazy. Many people fear being labeled crazy for simply seeking support from a therapist. But if a person was really crazy, he would be on the streets, not seeking help. Seeking psychotherapy should not be a shameful thing. Society is simply misinformed, and this has done nothing but cause pain and prevent people from getting the help they need. Another fact is, people with mental health conditions are not always violent. Interestingly, only 5% of violent acts can be attributed to individuals living with a serious mental illness. In fact, people with severe mental illnesses are over 10 times more likely to be victims of a violent crime than the general population. You probably know someone with a mental health condition and don't even realize it, because many people with mental health conditions are highly active and productive members of our communities. Yet it is widely believed that these people are violent or dangerous. While it is true that a small percentage of people living with mental illness commit violent acts, they are actually 10 times more likely to be victims of a crime, making them a vulnerable population we should be protecting instead of avoiding. Now, this is very important. When children show signs of mental illness, it is not necessarily a sign of a future mental health ruin. According to popular beliefs, children should not experience mental health issues, and when they do, it is assumed that their adulthood will be characterized by a totally ruined mental health status. Again, this is not the truth. Half of all mental health disorders show first signs before a person turns 14 years old, and 3/4 of mental health disorders begin before age 24. Unfortunately, because society chooses to deny the existence of mental illnesses in children, only half of children and adolescents with diagnosable mental health conditions receive the treatment they need. This eventually leads to developmental issues that affects the child's adulthood. Contrary to popular opinion, people with mental health conditions can be just as productive as others. Society believes that people with mental health needs cannot keep a job. And even when their level of productivity is the same as others, employers choose to find faults, sometimes even making them lose their jobs. In fact, a recent UK-wide stigma survey found that 1 in 5 people had lost their job due to stigma, while others have been written off for promotion or a new job. This eventually destroys the morale of the mentally ill, causing them to lose their confidence and self-esteem. Another fact is that people with mental illnesses can actually get better. How many times have you concluded that people with mental health issues cannot recover? You're not alone. Most people believe that once a friend or family member develops a mental health condition, they will never recover. Is that true? The answer is no. Studies show that people with mental health conditions get better, and many are on a path to recovery. Recovery in this case refers to the process in which people can live, work, learn, and participate fully in their communities, especially in these times where there are more treatments, services, and community support systems than ever before. I know this is hard to believe, but not everyone with a mental disorder has a problem with substance abuse. Many factors can lead to mental illness, including genetics, physical illness, or injury and traumatic life experiences. In fact, in the United States, only 50.5% of adults who have had a problem with substance abuse suffer from mental illness. So substance abuse is not the only factor responsible for mental health conditions. There are many other factors, which include biological factors such as genes, physical illness, injury or brain chemistry, life experiences such as trauma or a history of abuse, family history of mental health conditions, and so on. You might not like the sound of this, but a person with mental health disorders can be your wife or husband. Now, before you walk out, remember that mentally ill people are humans just like you, and it could have been you. Because no one chooses to be ill. So if you find a nice girl or a handsome man you want to get married to, never let their mental health status stop you. Instead, provide support and encouragement that would help them lead normal lives. Also, the ideas and suggestions of people with mental disorders are valid. One mistake people make is to think people with mental disorders are stupid. And so, they ignore their ideas and suggestions, making them feel irrelevant in their families, at work, and in the society at large. But the fact is that mentally ill people can work with their brains and should be allowed to make contributions. Last but not the least, people with mental disorders are not handicapped. There is a common temptation to treat mentally ill people like handicapped. They tend to be excluded from activities including self-care because of the assumption that they are not in their right senses. The general rule is a mental health patient who can eat without assistance should well be allowed to engage in self-care and some other activities without assistance. This will prevent the person from living a sedentary lifestyle and hasten the healing process. The truth is, stigma and discrimination makes mental health problems worse and stop them from getting help. This stigma eventually leads to social isolation and unemployment, further trapping people in a cycle of illness. This is why stigmatization should be avoided. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Thank you.